This is our Father's Day panel. Can you give it up for them? Why don't you guys introduce yourself? Just tell us who you are and kind of what you do for a living. Help us get to know you. And then we'll kick it off with some great discussion. Go ahead, Unique.
Yeah, my name is Unique Pasibakunchi. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been coming here for quite a while.
Nice. How long is quite a while? Like 20 years? I don't know.
Yeah, for 19? 19.
Nice. Love it, being planted in the house of the Lord. You've got 3 kids. How old are they?
Yes, I have 3 kids. I'm married for 18, and I have 23, 24, 24, 25, 25 and 16, no, 15 and 17, almost 17 in a week.
That's cool. And we're just trying to be honest and vulnerable here. So your family's a blended family, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you adopted your oldest as your daughter.
Yes,
Yeah,
she's
I love
a blonde
that.
lady, so every time we travel, I had to have some special papers to make sure that. And I lost her at Macy's in New York City one time, and I had to explain to the police, my girl is blonde, and it was interesting.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining that to us. All right, Ben, what about you?
My name is Ben Buck. I am a criminal investigator with the City of Ithaca Police Department. I have 3 boys, 18, 16, and 14.
Love it. And your retirement age.
I am, yes.
Congrats. But you've been in law enforcement a long time.
Over 20 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. We honor that. Come on. All right, what about you, Jacques?
Yes, my name is Jacques Gakwaya, and I'm the youth pastor here. I'm really excited.
Children and youth.
Children and youth. Yes.
It's like double major in college, double pastor.
Yeah, the now generation. And I'm a father of 3, 5, 3, and 16 months.
Nice.
2 boys, and my oldest is a girl. She's the captain of the family.
She's amazing. How long have you been at Hope?
At least 16 years, I think.
Nice.
Yes.
Ben, I forgot to ask you.
Yeah, same as Unique. I think we started coming very close to the same.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Pastor Noah, it's your turn.
Hello, my name is Pastor Noah. I am the executive pastor here at Hope Church. I've been coming to Hope for 30 years. I'm 30 years old. And
How old are you when you came to church? I'm just curious.
yeah, in utero.
He was negative life yet, not alive yet.
Yep.
Pre-life.
That's right. I'm married to Rochelle for
Ooh.
7 years.
That reminds me, today's Pastor Jacques' anniversary.
It is my
Happy
anniversary.
anniversary!
7 years as well, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, 7 years.
You guys got married the same year? Or you're going on 8 in September?
Yeah. Yes.
Very good. I got you.
Thank
we got
you.
this.
Thanks.
Dad to Ollie.
Dad to Ollie. He's going to be 2 in September.
Wow, that's
And,
crazy.
Yeah.
Time flies.
He's adorable. It's so fast.
Amazing. All right, we got together the other night. We just had this great conversation about masculinity, and we're in no way going to recreate that. We're just going off the hip and fresh and whatever God gives us in this moment because, we had a great talk, but I know that also Holy Spirit has things for the particular people in this room, and so we might say some things different than what we talked about the other night, but I just love hearing these guys and their hearts, and we were just getting together. You guys were teaching me about masculinity because I am not a man, and I'm glad to not be a man. But as your pastor, I need to bring in men to impart masculinity to you because spiritual fathers are so important to the house of the Lord. Come on. And they're important to the family. That's why we're bringing in Born to be Brave. That's why Richie's coming in a few weeks. That's why July is all guy July, because we need to have the voices of men elevated in the church. For too long, churches have been, 80% women, 20% men. Not here at Hope Church, man. We are changing the trajectory, raising up men in the house. and celebrating them for who they are. You know, there's been this thing the last few, probably decades, about just masculinity, you know, the APA, what's that? American Psychological Association, there we go. They invented this term a few years ago. It's called toxic masculinity, and it says, you know, men shouldn't be competitive. They shouldn't be aggressive. And, you know, I think that was swinging a pendulum from maybe historically how sometimes there have been men that way, but I think in this season we've often shifted the pendulum too far the other way to say, you can't be aggressive, you know, you can't be competitive, and we need to honor who God made men to be. That's how we thrive, the same as we honor who God made women to be. Come on. And so I just want to tell you a quick story, and then they're going to tell us a little bit about their fathers, honor them, and what they've learned. There is this African game preserve, and they had put some elephants on it that were going extinct, and it was very successful, and the elephants actually overpopulated the preserve. And so they're like, this is good. It's a good problem to have. But now we got to get some of these elephants off of the preserve so we have space for everybody to thrive. And so they came up with this kind of harness situation where they were going to lift elephants to another game preserve, which I think is wild. Can you imagine what the elephants must have experienced? And also, can you imagine being under the path of the elephants as they're like flying through the air? My kids and I were at a playground the other day, and there were geese flying overhead. I'm like, oh, look, it's like the wild robot. It's like bright bill. They're so cute. And then the geese started peeing everywhere. And our daughter was trapped on the slide. Like, she was halfway down. She'd, like, put on the brakes, and there was, like, goose pee below her and goose pee above her. She's like, Mom, what do I do? How do I get off of this slide? I'm like, okay, we're going to step over it. And we got home, and we all took showers, and we were horrified by the geese. They're really cute until they're like all trying to pee on you. But anyway, I can't imagine what the elephant situation was like. So they lifted them up and they took them to the other preserve. I'm sorry for the people who were in their path. And the only problem was that some of the older male elephants, they were too heavy. So they just took the female ones and the young males, all the light ones, and they took them to the new preserve. And like a month in, all of these rhinos started to be murdered. And they're like, is this poachers? What's going on? And they set up cameras, and they saw that it was the male elephants. The young males were super aggressive. And they're like, that's crazy, because for centuries, elephants and rhinos, they have been friends, man. Why all this aggression? And so they came up with this theory. They're like, maybe it's because they're missing the older, wiser, mature males. And so they reworked the harness for the heavier weight. They picked up the big guys. They took them over to the other preserve. And within a few days, the younger elephants started acting normal. They had too much testosterone, and they didn't know what to do with it without somebody to mentor them through that testosterone season. And so the result was chaos in the herd. But as soon as the fathers, the mature elephants, were restored, man, everything went back the way it was supposed to be. It's like, you know, God knows what he does with order in the animal kingdom, and especially with people. There's this verse in Isaiah 6, it's talking of the future, and it says, the houses will be without a man. And I think that's so true, and what we're seeing in society today, 25% of homes, kids don't even have a dad. They don't know who their dad is. It's crazy, and we're seeing it across all areas of society. But the church, you know, our job is to bring the culture of heaven to earth. And so while this is talking about how the world will be, that's not how the church should be. And so you guys, you're representing fathers. You're going to tell us what you learned from your father. And how did you know you were a man? Like, when did you become a man? You know, sometimes it's like that whole, hey, it's Thanksgiving and I get invited to the adult table. Sometimes it's like, okay, I got my license, or I got married. Like, when did you know you were a man? Who wants to kick us off? Tell us about your father first and what he imparted to you. And, you know, our fathers aren't perfect, but they did their best. You know, for me, I had a really good dad, He spoke confidence and life into me, showed me how women should be treated. That's one of the things men do for daughters. And then still he had some gaps. He didn't lead us to follow Jesus until he was invited to church and then brought us along in our teenage years. So there are things we can learn from our dads too. So who wants to kick us off?
I'll start. Yeah. So my dad is here. I want to honor Joel, my father. He's amazing. I was so thankful and blessed. I feel like even as a kid, I felt honored, like privileged, lucky to have the dad that I had. And I think my dad did a great job with so many things. He taught me how to work hard, how to play, how to get along with my siblings, how to treat my wife and how he treated his wife, and how to come to church. Every Sunday we were in church, no matter what. It was a non-negotiable. It's who we were,
Yeah.
and it was what we did every week. We were involved, we were engaged, we volunteered, and
he still volunteers, a
and he
spiritual
still
father
volunteers.
to children and Hope Kids
Come
for
on.
30 years.
Come on.
yeah, he was my Hope Kids teacher, and he's still teaching Hope Kids. And
My kids and your kids and
yeah.
your kids and your kids.
It's amazing, the legacy. I'm so thankful for you, Dad. And so I think he did a lot of amazing things. I don't know if there was a time when I felt like now I'm a man. I think I had a process and a journey of manhood through different stages, and still on that, I guess. I don't know if I 100% feel like a man, like this is it, I was still growing and learning things, and I think my dad did a lot of good things. So he gave me I think around 18, graduating high school, a little bit after, he gave me this big present, this, you're moving on with your life. He bought me a motorcycle, which I always
Whoa.
wanted, and it was kind of like a marking gift from father to son, life gift, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know.
Marking
It was
the
something,
next season.
yeah, and it was something that he knew I always wanted, and it was close to me, and that was helpful. He took me through a ceremony of a manhood with other men in the church to try to give me a marking of this is what a man is. A man accepts responsibility, and this is how he lives his life and how he serves people around him, and that was really helpful. I think he struggled with his dad was nowhere near, different galaxies, and the father that I had to the father that he had. And I think one of those areas was how to process and feel your own emotions, and how to process them and share them and be vulnerable with people. And so that lacked a little bit, but now I'm so proud of him. He's growing, and I've learned a lot, and I'm growing, and I'm passing that on to my kids.
Come on.
And he's even doing that with my kids as their grandpa, and he's amazing. And doing it with Hope Kids, he's growing and relating to them at a different level than he ever has before. And so, yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
that's my dad. Give it up for Joel.
Yeah.
I love you, Dad.
It's really good.
I do want to add a little bit on Joel. Joel is amazing. I get to serve with him. He's amazing. If you see him play with the kids, he somehow have the same energy. Keep up with the 5-year-old, 6-year-old, throwing a ball. But when it comes to learning, he sit down and talk to him. So I love that, no matter what the age is, you can still be a father figure, spiritually speaking, but also be available and create that fun, exciting, safe place. So thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to serve alongside of you for sure.
Come on.
And so many men who've been part of the Hope Kids too, and teens. I'm so thankful for my father. I was thinking about when we were discussing, my father, he was not a safe, actually was an atheist. So he got to know Jesus when I was 2 years old. All I remember is not my father being saved, but what I remember is because he found Jesus when he was desperate. He was an alcoholic and, smoked a lot. I never knew that part because, again, I was 0, 1. But he made a point when he found Jesus, that was going to be our identity. He made, like Pastor Noah said, that was non-negotiable. We'll go to church at 5 in the morning. We'll go to church on Sundays during the week. He was a man who loved to pray. He actually, for whatever reason, no matter how small houses, there'll be a room say, this is a room of prayer, because he found that value to it. So that's the home I got to grow up in. And I was also thankful because he lived a really extremely hard life. His father passed. He was a refugee. He lived a terrible job. So he made sure that none of our kids, we're 7 of us, had a way better life. If I look, my life is how do we afford to go to any school that, like, we don't have that much money, but he wanted us to set us up to succeed. Like, he worked a lot. He made sure we have food. He made sure we worked extras. I mean, he was so sweet and kind and loving Jesus in the church, and something that I cherish. I think I have carried some of that because he became a role model. But for me personally, I can say the big things. I remember I was 16 at this point. I would sit on the table. I think some of the fathers who will relate, because my dad worked a lot, provided a lot. There was a little absent in my life and my siblings. Not because he wanted, that was like the priority. But this season when I was 16, it's like we had open conversation. So just want to commend men's fathers. Have open conversation with your kids. You just never know how much you impact. And for every reason we open like that, you're not really that much around, which was shocked him. He actually almost cried. It was shocking. From that point on, he made a time, hang out with us. He took us one at a time out. Like, that marked me like never before. Like, that spoke to me as a present father, not just a sacrifice, like who won't invest in me, having conversations. So that's something that I'll forever cherish. I want to duplicate with my kids, because that's important to have a father figure present.
That's amazing. The humility to take that
Yes.
feedback when you guys are like, hey, you don't really know us.
Right.
I mean, it must have hurt. And for him to not retaliate or get defensive, but to instead say, oh, wow, I'm going to change. I'm going to grow. Like, that maturity, what a
Right.
gift to his kids.
Big time. And the sad part, maybe the good part, he actually thought it was present, which he was. I mean, the food and everything we have, like,
Yeah,
he was
great
present
provider.
in a different way. But that sad part made him do action and take that humility. I think that spoke to me a lot. And apologize, and make it a point to be, I am going to be present. So that
Wow.
was great, for sure. Yeah.
How did you know, like, when did you become a man? How did your father impart that into you?
Yeah, this is a little funny too, because I think I was like 9. My father was traveling overseas, and he had like a short talks like, hey, by the way, I'm gonna travel. I think my mom at one point went to see him, and it's like, you're the man of the house. You be over your siblings. At the time, we were blessed to have somebody helping in the house, but like, I mean, I was the oldest of 7, like, you in charge. That spoke to me. And it also did something in my heart, because my dad, growing up, he liked to drink Coca-Cola. Like, they had the glasses in Africa days. And then when he left, I started drinking Coca-Cola. So I'm like,
You're a
I'm a
man
man
now.
now. I'm stepping to the steps. But he created like a confidence,
Yes.
and it gave me like confidence to be, some sort of father figure to my siblings, but also have ownership in my house. This is most of my house. Like,
Come on.
I'm a man now. So
He
that's-
believed in you. You're
He
9,
believed
and
in
he's
me.
like, listen,
Yes.
you're a man. And so you rose to that occasion. You're like,
Yes.
also, I'll drink some Coke too, because that's what men do.
Yes.
Very
yes.
good.
Still do. I think that's why. Yes.
I love that. It takes a father to impart identity into his children. And I think that's such a great example.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone else would have done that. Like, to mark me, like, that marked me, because he had the authority that extended to me.
Yeah.
That what did something in my heart. Yeah.
So good. I think we're just going down the line, Ben, so it's your turn.
Yeah, so growing up young, I didn't know my father. He wasn't really in my life. I knew who he was, but I didn't know him. When I was about 13, my stepfather came into my life, and very grateful for him. A lot of the things that he's taught me. Open communication was good. I can pretty much talk to him about anything, which I really do appreciate. He taught me to hunt. He taught me to work on cars, and he also taught me a really strong work ethic, which I really appreciate. And kind of like what Pastor Jacques was saying, with a lot of work, a lot of times he was pretty absent as far as, when there were school events or hanging out outside of work. So if we were hanging out, we were working. But with that, I just wanted to go back and talk about how it's not too late, right? So last year, I'm an adult, I'm in my mid-40s, and I went up to visit last summer. And he was out mowing the lawn, and he just stopped. He saw us come up. He stopped mowing the lawn, and he came out, and we all just sat down and had a talk, and we hung out for a few hours, which growing up, that would have never happened, like, at all. Like, And what it did for me personally is just like, okay, you're important. You're more important than what I'm doing here with
Come
work,
on, that's good.
which was really cool. So it's never too late there.
I think that's good too, because nowadays I think that can be tempting with work or just even with cell phones, you know, to give our kids that undivided attention, whether you're father or mother or whoever, just to know you're valuable. That's powerful.
Yeah, so when did I know that I was becoming a man? I think it's been a process, kind of like Pastor Noah was saying. I think there's been life events over time. As a young guy, I think it was when I killed my first deer by myself.
Yeah.
Right? And was able to process the deer and get through it and not need somebody to tell me exactly how I did that or how
That's
to do
a
it.
marking moment.
It
Providing
was.
food.
Because what do I do next? And then how do I get to this next step and being able to take what I've been taught and actually do it on my own?
Cool.
And then I think there's just been different things over the years that have really spoke to that.
That's good. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah. So for me, it's my dad was very good at helping you make a decision, or he was very interested at people, how you make decisions, right? So just to go back a little bit, my great-grandfather was a warrior, right? Like one of they said the best in the area. I mean, they knew that kind of guy, like if he shows up, it's not gonna be good for everyone, like that kind of guy. So, and then my grandfather kind of, had that reputation of, that's the son of this guy, and so he was close to the prince and the kings, and he became a barber, cutting hair like John Como kind of thing, and they give him some land, like a lot of big lands and cows, and so he was doing well. Like also he was kind of like the chef. How do you call it? Like a count. Like how in England when they like somebody, they can knight them and they give them some land. And it's
Nice, yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. So my grandfather was kind of have that, type of person. And then my dad was the number one, like he was his first kid. But he was nerdy, he was not alpha guy, He was kind of like maybe beta seed, I don't know what it is. But his young other brother was the kind of guy, right? Very brave, very running. And so the crazy part, he said, you stay home, you're gonna be the next guy to my dad's brother. And he told my dad, like, okay, you go to school. That was a time in the 40s, 50s where school was kind of important. But like, nah, school was like, I don't know. You go to school. And literally, my dad went to school because of that. So he did, high school, he did really good until he finished school. And, he knew people. He went to go to Europe and went, almost like a PhD, whatever you call it. So he became the first architect in the whole country,
Wow.
like in Burundi. So, and he became a really important person. So, but I think that kind of marked me in some ways because there was a little bit of, I was not loved. Not loved, but kind of feel like he was not, his dad did not give him that access. But the crazy part, he became the guy who helped with everybody. He became very well to do and all that stuff. So but the problem too, he was in college, he met this girl, a French woman, he was about to marry her. The dad was like, absolutely not, you're not bringing this French woman at home. And he left her, he went back to country, he became a very important person. But the crazy part, she ended up being pregnant and a kid. So I just met my brother when I was 18 the first time.
Whoa.
So he looked for us, he found us, and he Googled, crazy story. But anyway, the whole point is that my dad made sure that he was going to support me no matter what. And I'm going to be there for me no matter what. So since I was a kid, he always talked to me. What do you want? Who are you? He pushed that, and that was really good. And I felt that kind of changed the curse in the family in some ways. Like,
Yeah.
who are you? Like, what do you want? Like, every time I make a decision, okay, let's go through the decision. This decision is going to impact you this way and this way. And if you make that decision, I'll support you 100%, but make sure you're committed to it. I will follow up with you, make sure you do it. So that always made me kind of very careful, kind of decision I make. Because it was like, okay, is the kind of guy who take it to police if you do something wrong? It's like, okay, now you do something wrong, I'm going to have to take it to police. We got to talk to them and say how it's going to happen. That kind of guy.
Yeah.
If I hurt somebody, he'll be, okay, let's go to see the parents, let's talk to them. Okay, can you say sorry? And, make sure it's like this is the way to do it. That's what men do. They're accountable for everything they do.
Come on, that's good.
So really, that really marked me. And I remember when you asked, what did I know as a man? I think when I was like 14. It was summertime. He had a project, like he was building a place, and he said, hey, this is $40,000. I have 20 employees working there. You're going to take care of them. You know,
Wow.
pay them, do the work, and I was freaking out, of course. You know, that kind of shock. I feel important. Like I feel like trusted and, you know,
So you're
loyalty.
14. He's like,
14.
here's $40,000 and
40,000.
20 employees.
Put him up. I
Go
mean,
make some
this
choices,
is in Africa.
and I'll walk it out with you.
It's a lot of money in Africa. 40,000, you could build a lot of things in Africa with 40,000. And that was like, I was 14. So I went on this job for 2 months. And I think I remember I lost like $50. I was almost lost it. Like, it was big on me. And I had to apologize. Like, no, that's okay.
Wow.
But the whole point was that I knew there was a man then, right?
Come on.
So I knew that there was a change of how we do things anymore. I went home feeling like I'm the man, So anyway, that was it.
That's really good because that marked you. I mean, it shaped so much of who you are today as an entrepreneur. You have a good kingdom mindset around money where, it's not your God. It is a tool, and you're not afraid of it because I think your dad gave you those opportunities as a teenager, which is incredible. I joked with you the other night, I'm going to send my son your way when he's 14.
No, it was interesting. I think I was telling you last time, like, I remember when my dad got saved before me, but that's another story. But I remember when I was like 18, I got saved when I was like 18, and there was this girl I was talking to for 2 years. She was like, absolutely not. You're not a Christian. I don't want you around me. I was talking, come on. And she refused, and when I got saved, I was like, listen. I'm a Christian. Look at me. And she said, okay, and I thought I was going to marry her. And we were like serious.
Because you're like a Christian. You're like, hey, God provided this
Oh,
woman.
man.
Christians date to get married. That's
Oh,
probably
man.
what's happening here.
Everything was matching. Good family, good kids, first boyfriend, everything. So and she was doing things the right way. And I was also doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Even though I was not a Christian, I would never slept with anybody before that.
Yeah.
So it was a good relationship. And the funny thing, the brother came to my house last week, and my wife was like, hey, that's the brother of your ex-girlfriend, huh? I was like, yeah. So anyway, she left to go to Europe, to go to school, and my plan was to meet her. And I told my dad, can I go to her university? She's like, yeah, we can go. Well, let's set it up. And, I could have been there today. So anyway, the crazy part, 6 months later, I got this email, and you know how it is, I found someone else, and blah, blah.
A Dear John email. So
Yeah, she
rude.
crushed me completely, and I didn't eat for 2 weeks. I mean, I was barely eating, I was losing weight and all that. It's my first, actually, the only breakup I had really that bad. And then my dad saw it, and he came to me and looked at me and was like, wow, what's going on? It's like, I told him what happened, and he's like, he was almost shocked. I was like, wait a minute, Unique, you forgot who you are.
Come on.
Too bad for her. It's like, what do you mean too bad for her? So it was like, oh, you're a king. You're a princess. You have everything. Too bad for her. She's going to lose on a lot
Come
of things.
on.
So guys, he started saying good things about him, and that changed the way I see life after that, because that was the time when I know that he made me feel like if I go to a job, I know for a fact that the job, had to appreciate me because I'm going to be so much valuable to that place that the place is going to be amazing because of me. And if they want to lose me, I don't search for, I'm not scared of getting fired anymore. I don't ever get fired because I don't care, and it's true. So every time I ever left a place, they was like, why don't you stay? They're trying to make me stay, but anyway, so the whole point is that he puts so much value on know who you are.
Come on, that's good.
You have so much value. So if they leave you, it's too bad for them. You have so much to give. So I'm more like you're a giver. You're a prince. You're a king.
And that's the power of a father. So you receive really easily from God because you could receive from your earthly father speaking into you. You know, when God says you're a son of mine, you're like, yes and amen. I believe that. It's not tough to believe it. I know for some of us, there might be, you know, baggage where you haven't had people speak into you that way. So it's like, I don't know if I can believe this. No one's ever treated me like that. But for you, that gift from your dad to be like, no, this is who you are. And really, that's something that men do differently than women. So for my kids, I can say all kinds of things to them. They do not receive it from me the way that they do their dad. Like our daughter was sitting at the kitchen table one day, frustrated over math homework. And I'm like, honey, you're smart. You got this. Why are you letting this problem get you down? You know, she's crying about it. And I texted Jay. I was like, hey, can you just tell her she's smart? You know, because we're all in the room and I didn't want her to hear. He's like, you're so smart. And she's like, yes, I am. You know, it changed everything. And I'm like, I've been telling you that for 10 minutes, you know? But there is something about how God created men to speak life and identity that women cannot do. And that's why it's so important to unleash you guys into that, into speaking life into people. And then at the same time, you know, your dad, I love that he wasn't like, he didn't devalue your emotions, but he was like, it's time to move on. You've been weeping for a couple of weeks. This is not who you are. It's time to step into your identity. And we were talking the other night just about how emotions, sometimes we say like, oh, you need to get in touch with your feminine side to men, which I think is not helpful at all. In Genesis, it talks about how when God created woman, he took woman out of man. He took femininity out of man. And in the same way, he left masculinity there. So, you know, women are feminine, men are masculine, and that's not a bad thing. The way to get in touch with those other sides is to have men and women around you who, you know, God gifted and created to be those expressions of who he is. And we were talking the other night just about how emotions are not masculine or feminine. They're humanity. And Ben, you had such a good story just talking about emotions, and Unique, you were really good at just, you know, building up who Ben is and how he expresses things. If you guys want to talk about that at all.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's certain things that come out of us as guys, right? The competitiveness, things to the desire to want to protect or to fight or to...
That's a good one. We heard a noise last night at 4 a.m. and I woke up my husband. I was like, you need to go check this out. You know, it wasn't the other way around. He wasn't going to have me go check it out because he's the protector. And it was a tree that fell in our yard. But yes, men are protectors.
And that just comes, I think, natural. It's a natural thing. And I think that when emotions rise up, it's something that we have to actually push down, right? Like we'll hear that... it's not okay for a guy to cry or things of that nature, or we shouldn't act that way, or that's getting in touch with your feminine side. But it comes natural out of us, that emotional feelings, whatever that looks like. And I think that it seems to be okay to be angry as a guy, but it's not so okay to feel sadness or to cry. I remember the first time my sons had actually seen me cry. We were out in the back of our house. We have this creek that in the springtime just completely erupts with all the drainage that comes in. And it erodes, as it turns, it just erodes some of the bank and also some of the underbelly of the creek. And so it gets deep enough that we can go in and swim. And this must have been, I don't know, March. It was like one of those 80 or 90 degree days in March that we have here in New York with our crazy weather.
That's wild. We don't know what that's like in June.
I know. It was a weird day. And so we went out back and we were going to jump in, and I was going to go in first, and I thought that the water was really deep, but it was really murky, so you couldn't see in. And I jumped into the creek bed and it was not very deep. And I went in with everything I had, and I landed on my ankle, and it hurt so bad.
Yeesh.
And I had tears coming down, and I let out this like horrible shout. And Isaac, my middle son, he just had this look like, I don't know what's going on. I've never seen my dad cry. I've never seen this. And so they went up and got crutches. I've had a couple knee surgeries, so they got crutches out of the house. I needed help getting out. And my knee was just so, or not my knee, my ankle was so swollen. And there was a point where it was kind of crazy in the midst of everything. And Abraham, my youngest, just kind of said, well, I think we should pray for that.
How old was he?
He could not have been more than 7. I really don't remember. And so he wanted to pray. So at first it was kind of like, no, we need to get help. And we just,
Stressful situation.
yeah. And it was just me and the three boys at the time. And so I'm like, no, you can pray. You can pray for my foot. And so he stopped and he prayed. And then I ended up going to the hospital, and I got there, and the doctor looked at my ankle and was just like, ugh. I think it's safe to say that it's broken. And so we went in, we did the x-rays, and in that it came back, and my ankle was not broken. It was swollen, and it hurt. I don't know. I really believe that him praying over my foot at that time
Come on.
was a healing.
So,
And the power of you letting him do that in that moment and acknowledging him as one of the three kids, and it's like a crazy situation, and you're in pain, but you're like, yes, you can pray for me. How marking for him. Go ahead, Unique. You had
I
something to say.
was going to say that, Ben is the kind of guy who knows how to express his emotions. And personally, I know he went through hard things the last couple of years, and he would not be scared to face me and say, let's talk about this. And he would go through every single detail to a point I'm like, wow. And he was bleeding, right? He let himself bleed, and no shame at all. Like, just this is me, I'm raw. And it was so funny because I'm looking at the statistics. 80% of suicide are committed by men. 80%
Wild.
by men. And that's switch around. 80% of women come to church. Do you see the
Yeah.
twist around it? And I know for a fact that a lot of friends of mine, as men, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to talk. And it's killing them. It's killing their family. It's killing the job. So the outside, in Samuel 16:7 says, God is not interested by the appearance, the outside appearance. Since he's very interested by the heart, what's in your heart. So men have to connect
That's good.
to themselves. Because if they don't connect, they're not going to do well. They burn out quickly, and they, wives or other people say, oh, why they're so terrible. But it's not just that. They're going through pain that's not dealt with.
Not
right?
able to be expressed. If
Yeah.
you don't get it out, it stays stuck in there.
Yeah.
Where is it supposed to go?
Exactly. And, the last couple of years, I've lost 2 friends to suicide. And one of them is my father-in-law. He just a week before, he said, I don't feel good. I don't know what that means. I was busy. That was a fault of mine. I should talk to him. And the day he passed away, my wife called me and said, hey, go check on him. Something is going on.
Wow.
I missed him by 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I checked the records, 30 minutes. And he was a good man.
Yeah.
We have tons of good men here. So another friend of mine texted me one time on Instagram and said, hey, I've been thinking about you for a long time, every day. I didn't know what he was doing. 3 months later, I got a call from his brother, say he passed away. Yeah. And those are extreme stuff, right? But maybe some men don't have that guts to do that. But some other ones, we go back to alcohol to cheating or other things. We're all susceptible for that because we don't want to be a feminist. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, though, too. Without the other men around men, then it's
Yes.
like, who teaches you that it's okay?
Yes.
Like, for some people, you might be hearing for the first time, like, emotions are not just a girl's thing. It's not just feminine, and it's normal to express them to your friends and to your children. What a gift to show them it's okay. We go through hard things, and we process those things out. Emotions are valid. God gives you those things to experience Him and experience the world around you.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the temptation, especially like as husbands to our wives, if we're going through something hard in life, and our wives are sometimes better at feeling their feelings and processing those things, and so the temptation for us is to be strong and to hold it together, to be there for our
It's gonna
wives.
be there for everybody.
Yeah,
But
to-
who's there for
to-
you then?
Right. And I think that having this identity as a man and having that security from our fathers and to be able to process our emotions, I shared that we lost a pregnancy 5 months through birth defects, and the best times that me and my wife had together were when I expressed what I was going through and she was feeling similar things. But it wasn't until I was able to be honest with how I was feeling that she didn't feel so alone. And
Yeah.
she felt like she could process better and we could go through things together and find healing and processing and grieving together through, I kind of led the way as a man who leads the way. And I think like,
Yeah, Ephesians, love your wife
yeah.
as Christ loved the church and gave his life up for her. That means you
Yeah.
go first.
Yes. It gets convoluted sometimes, like, man leads the house and I'm in charge and I have all the power, but it's like, no, I'm going to be the awkward one who like says that I'm falling apart inside and I don't know what
Yes.
to do and I don't know what I'm feeling and all these things that gives her
Permission to be
permission
vulnerable.
to do that too.
So
And that
good.
was the healthiest, best moments. It wasn't always easy.
And that's so healthy. And I
Yeah.
think that's why the enemy gets men alone and isolated and, these lies of society that say, like, you can only be angry. That's the only acceptable thing. That's to keep the sons of God from stepping into who they are. So, go ahead, Pastor.
Yeah, I was going to add really something that has been like a role model for Pastor Noah and I know Ben. We have had some good conversations. It also, I think about even my upbringing, like it also affects our children. So if you're a man, guess what? You're not going to show your vulnerability to your kids. Guess our boys going to be. They're going to be like us. Although we want them to be better, or our kids, we're basically duplicate. I've seen it over my lives. Like, I need to start afresh. That's why I appreciate even you're never too late to be older to still grow there and
Come on.
be sharing those vulnerabilities. Like, I'm seeing my dad coming out, we're older. It's taking me time to get there, but if I want them to be healthy, I need to be healthy to show them how to go to be. And
Yes.
that's how it's going to change the new rhythm for sure.
It's so good. And my dad too, he recently had a conversation with me, which I so appreciated. He's like, I feel like our relationship isn't what it could be or what it should be, and what's going on, and it took me trusting him and through our lifetime of the trust that we did have in our relationship to kind of explain some of the things that were the rift in our relationship. And I love that, he took that attitude, like, it's not too late. We can work on our relationship. I'm growing, you're growing. Let's work on this relationship and see if we can solve these rifts together. And I appreciate that honesty and vulnerability just to call it out and the trust that he had with me. And then I extended that trust to him, and we're working through. And our relationship's better than ever because of that, like, humility and trust and vulnerability to work on that. It's so cool.
It's so interesting because I see that I've been married for 18 years, but the last 4 years, I think there was a shift in my home because of, in the past, we are growing, right? There's a place where you grow and realize, okay, I'm, run, do things, but, trying to do that. But however, there's a place I was missing in a way of like, hey, I could talk to my wife and say, today I'm not doing. No, we talked to a therapist or somebody at one point, and the whole point was, it will help your marriage too, not just in general, like to say, hey, I'm not doing well today. Just give me a little break or something.
Yeah.
Because when they know, they can actually help you more. And I feel like that's what many men don't do. They're not vulnerable to their wives. It's like, I'm going through a hard time. And also, of course, I think like men also likes to be praised. And we're kind of kids in some ways. Like we like someone to speak life to us. Oh, you're doing a fantastic job.
Come on.
You're doing great. So we like that. So women,
Little free
whatever
advice
it is,
there.
just say like, oh, great, you're doing great. We like to feel like, speak life to us too. But at the same time, men needs to break down and say, listen, today it's not good. Talk. We're not good at small talks. We are good at, I killed the deer yesterday. I killed it. It was good. What did you
Yeah.
do this weekend? I did this. But look, how you feel? What's going on? Talk to me. What is really going on in your life? No many men can easily say that, but we can change that culture. We can really, and if we change that, it will change everything in our lives.
Let's go. And I think the way we be vulnerable, Pastor Noah, you hit this the other night, is just knowing your identity in Jesus, knowing you don't have anything to prove so that you can share, and it's not scary, and it doesn't make anyone think less of you. It's like, I think probably, Ben, that's why you're good at emotions. You're like, okay, I know who I am in Jesus, and so I can share my life experience out of that. I don't know if either of you want to speak to that.
So yeah, I don't think that as guys, we don't have to be older than somebody to be a father type figure, right?
good.
I have went through quite a bit in the last couple of years, and there was times where I just wasn't good, right? And I would express that in front of my boys, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And I was talking with Pastor Jacques, who is younger than I am, and when we were sitting down, we were just talking. It wasn't like permission, but it was just like, it's good for you to see, be who you are, and then go back and talk about it. And there's times where I sat back and I would be really emotional, like just I was a hot mess, and then I would come back and just like, oh, this is something that I did wrong, and I could have done that better. But I wasn't hiding it, kind of like to what Unique was saying, and just trying to hold it all together, just because at the time I couldn't. And so with that, I really appreciated being able to hear that from a man to say, it's okay that this is what it was, and to talk through some of that with the kids. And I really appreciate as a friend being able to actually just be who I am and be. I mean, there was times when Unique and I would sit down and I would talk, and he'd just like, oh, I don't know. But then on the backside of it, he'd pray for me. He was there, and I really appreciate that.
Yes.
And I think in that season, there was a time where I can't remember which preach it was, and you were just talking about people in the midst of trauma, right, and how they express themselves and what that looks like, and that is okay. And I think a lot of times we feel like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
I think that's so good how you were vulnerable to Pastor Jacques and then hard on yourself, because I mean, we all have high standards for ourselves, and for him to just, from the outside, say, no, you're doing great, and it's good to be honest with your boys, because in this world, they will have trouble, and
Yes.
they know when they leave the home, everything's not going to be perfect, but
Right.
I can process it out, and every day is not going to be perfect, but it's okay. And just even the fact that you were honest with them leads the way for them to be honest with you in their future relationship, and I love that. And I think that's going to bring us to kind of one of the last big things we want to talk about, which is accountability. And there's this verse where Paul says, I'm not writing all this as a neighborhood scold to shame you. I'm writing as a father to you. My children, I love you. I want you to grow up well and not spoiled. There are a lot of people around who can't wait to tell you what you're doing wrong, but there aren't many fathers willing to take the time and effort to help you grow up. It was as Jesus helped me proclaim God's message to you that I became your father. I'm not, asking you to do anything I'm not already doing myself. And I love this because he's saying you have many teachers but not many fathers. It takes accountability and vulnerability to have a father relationship with someone where you allow them to speak into your life. Accountability can look like a lot of different things, and I think it's pretty nuanced. Last Sunday we talked about how it's not looking for sin, but rather being accountable to what you know and who you are. It's a call up when somebody sees something in you and they keep you accountable to that. I think on this stage there are different layers of accountability. I'm all of your pastor, but at the same time, Unique and Pastor Noah, you're on my board of elders, so there are times when I'm accountable to you. All of you, we've met before individually where you've allowed me to have access to your life, where we've talked about life problems, and you've trusted that office, how God puts people in authority, and I've gotten to speak into that. But there's other places too. As the staff, you speak into me, I speak into you. Ben, if I'm out on the streets and you're operating in your capacity as law enforcement, I'm going to be accountable to you. It's all nuanced. There's different levels of friendship going on here. I'm accountable to my husband. He's accountable to me. And then there's times when I go out and seek a spiritual father. That's why Richie and Kimberly, they have authority to speak into Jay and I's life, because when I became the pastor, I'm like, I need a spiritual father. And so I went out and got that. And for some of us in this room, maybe you don't have a spiritual father yet. Maybe you need one, because the value and the benefit of somebody around you helping you grow is incredible. And so I'd love for you guys to speak just to who's been spiritual fathers for you in your growth, and as you've been planted in God's house, how he puts us in a family, and what does it mean to trust him and trust others to speak into you, because man, when you get under what God has put over you, he elevates you. Humble yourself under God's mighty hand, and at the proper time he lifts you up, and I've seen that my entire life.
Yeah. I was thinking about, too, I think it was in another message where he mentioned accountability is a gift. and I've been trying to like reframe my own thinking around accountability because it has all these connotations sometimes. But just like as accountability is a gift, and if you think about it like a good coach, you know, I crave accountability. I crave somebody who can look at me and say something, you know, maybe I don't like, maybe I don't agree with, but like I trust you enough and who you are and your character to say, like, if you say something to me, I can redirect the direction of my life or the decisions I'm making or what I'm doing, and say, like, that I need that, because if I can't see it, then who else is going to tell me except somebody who can hold me accountable to what I know to be true, even if I don't like it. So like I've been reframing my own internal compass towards accountability to say, I crave accountability. Accountability is a gift. I need it. I seek it out. I try to have people in my life where I can share things and be open to that kind of advice to say, you know, just tell me what I don't know. Tell me if I'm headed towards a cliff that I'm about to fall off. You know, if I'm making bad decisions, even if I push back harder, because I need somebody to help me out, you know?
Yeah, I heard a coach say something like, if I'm not coaching you, then that's a bad sign. Basically like, I don't see any potential in there, but if somebody's speaking into you, that's good. And sometimes we have to go get those relationships. We have to give someone permission because it's a two-way street. So who has been spiritual fathers for you guys?
I can go. I am so blessed for this house. Like, have so many men here in church have really marked my life. Pastor Dave, Brother Bill, and all these guys. But even start all the way before I came here, Yannick has been a huge father figure, spiritually and physically. Him and Amanda took me in as 20-year-old, and got to live with them. I think about, like when you talk accountabilities, they've been through every graduation. At a school I went to graduation, they were there celebrating, and my friends, they're CCC, they're graduating with me. Like all the marking great things, they were there. All the hard time, they were there. And there's places I can look back. They pushed me and brought, a little bit of what Pastor Noah was saying. It really, I was like, these people really genuinely care about me. I'm going to buy to it. And I can only say, like, that marked me. Like, I won't be, there's so many fruit I have because, Yannick pushed. And all you need to say is like, I know just this person for like a hot second, or we're young, like, but his heart to see me succeed and carry on his wings along his wife and his family is just like, it's amazing. Like, I won't be here part of it without, Yannick, like, be the open house for the house and, like, do ministry together. It's like, I think one part, I remember, this is like 7 years ago, I was like, you know what, we need to go to prayer. Like, we'll go like somewhere for 14, like, I'm meeting people I never met them before. We pray with them, or let's go to the hospital to meet somebody, like, different things. Or let's go play, or let's do, like, those things are huge. Like, in all season, accountability is like, I trust you, constant, good times, bad times. You also give advice, just like, it speaks a lot, for sure.
If anybody knows you, you're really good at care. And I think some of that, now that you're telling these stories, is that Yannick saw that in you, and he gave you permission. He showed you how to do it. He brought you along, and it's like, let's pray for people. And now that's what you do all the time, and you're doing that for others. You're a spiritual father to them. It's so cool to see that kind of come to fruition. That's good fruit.
Yeah, and I think about, like, Paul saying, follow me as I follow Christ. Like,
Yes.
That's the motto. I never see him fail once. I'm gonna be right behind you, like, that's the legacy we can pass on our children and the kids we serve and teens. Really, like, trust me, you're gonna do well when you follow Jesus, and I'm gonna keep my actions gonna be louder even than my words.
I love it. And obviously he means a lot to you. He was weeping the other night when he was telling us about it, because man, it's powerful having a father speak into you. And it's cool how God provides people in different seasons. So, your dad was across the pond. You're like, okay, like, who is my spiritual father? And Yannick came in and filled that role, and you trusted him. And you got to see life even in his house and how he treats his family. Like, that's so cool. That's that maturity, mentorship, fatherhood showing.
Absolutely, yeah. And working with his wife and kids, talk about all levels. Like, you will watch as young kids. You watch, your parents' figures or spiritual figures. Like, that speaks, and we get to carry on what other people are passing along.
More is caught than taught. Somebody else? Spiritual fathers in the house?
I'll go. It's my dad. When he got saved when I was like 12, 13, and he changed our home, right? Like one thing we're talking about, the emotions. I've never seen my dad cry before. I think at 14 when I saw him cry, like literally cry. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? Like literally, because I've never seen him cry before. So, and I think I started crying for the first time when I was 18, 19, like literally crying the first time because I was in church and they was singing and I felt moved so much that I could not stop crying. So it was the best thing ever. Like now, even today, I don't care. I'll cry all the time. Even now, I was about to cry a while ago. But before it could have not happened. So he gave me the permission almost to like, you have to express your emotions. Yeah. Not just the emotion, the crying part, but also like ask forgiveness, right? Like say, hey, I did not do well there. Just talk about it in some ways. Like I remember talking to my son a couple weeks ago. I think I said something. He did something stupid, and I said, hey, that was a 12-year-old move right there, man. That was, and a while after, I felt like, just like, no, that was not nice. So I talked to him. I was like, I'm sorry. That was wrong.
That's good.
And that was bad. And he was like, yeah, that was condescending. That's up there. It's like, you're right. I'm sorry. I should not say that.
Yes.
And so there's a culture of being real to each other that because I think that was a big part of me to I don't know, you call it how to touch with your feminine side of it. I don't know if it's,
Emotions, yeah, your
the
human
emotions.
side.
Yeah, so to me, just the spiritual side is my father that taught me how to feel. Like, it's okay to feel, it's okay to grow. So he really changed a lot in that part. And also, all the pastors here, they have me, Pastor Dave, Nate, now you. There are places where you touch that I need help with. Even a couple of days ago, I was telling you something I'm thinking in my house. Like, can you check? What do you think? It's like, let me know. So because I'm giving you permission to talk to me and let me know if there's anything. I do that with Pastor Jacques. Even he says that I haven't, but the things are getting reversed now.
Right? It's nuanced. There's different levels of accountability.
Exactly.
Yes,
Pastor Noah, same thing. I go to
Yes.
them like, hey, what do you think? Or this is what's going on. So it's just open book.
Yeah.
Because I think I like what the heart, Pastor Noah was talking about. I crave for accountability.
Yeah.
Real men crave for accountability.
Come on, that's good.
Real men, And I think that, honestly, it's just a process.
Yes.
It's not about what you have. Oh, I have a good job, I have a good house, I have good kids. No. Truly, are you honest with yourself? Do you have someone who can look at your eyes and say, yeah, that's not good right there. Oh, that's great. Do you have those people? If you don't have those people, you're in trouble. Let's just keep it honest. You're in trouble.
Yes.
It's just a matter of time. I'm praying for you that God touches you at one point because you have to have you cannot be by yourself. This is a community. And men were not created to be alone. You have to have somebody. So, my father is still alive. He's, one of my best friends. Like, I talked to him today. Like, you guys, I never hide anything, especially Pastor Ashley. And I have, like people who, on the sides too, like that guy called Watch Money. He writes a lot of books, a Chinese guy. I don't know, I've never met him, he died. But his books speak highly, it's very, to me. And Brother Bill is one of the guys, we went to do ministry together. Yeah. He served this church for more than 20 years. He was not somebody you see every day, like in the how do you call, like a visible guy. Yeah. But he did a lot, and that really speak truly to me in my heart. That's the guy with integrity. That's the guy who's accumulating things in heaven. I want to be that guy.
Yes, your Heavenly Father rewards what's done in secret. Just doing those things because he loves Jesus and showing you what it looks like to do that. That's so good. Anybody else? Spiritual fathers speaking into your life?
So I think in the house, Pastor Dave and Brother Bill, over the years, Bud Wilson was someone that I used to pal around with a lot, and he really was a spiritual father to me. We'd go out and again, kind of like Roby, he was in the background. You didn't always know that he was there. But there were so many things that's been fixed here in the church, next door, and in so many people's houses. One time, he and I went out, and he liked to work for vets. That was really a big deal to him. So a veteran of a war, if he found out that you were a veteran, he was coming over to find something at your house that he could fix to serve you in some way. And we went over to this house, and we took off this perfectly good door and replaced it with another door because this man really wanted to have this door fixed. And he was an older guy, and it was big to him. He was on his last leg of life, and he just wanted, I was going to fix this door. This door needs to be fixed, or it needed to be changed. And I don't know what the thing inside for him to get it done was, but it was just a really big deal. And so Bud made it such a huge priority, and we went over, we fixed it, and he's like, oh no, you're not giving me anything, but we're going to pray for you. And that's how he was with everybody. Yeah.
I think that's a good example too, because those guys aren't guys with titles, you know. It's like, well, nobody gave me a position to be like the spiritual father of the house. It's like, no, it's men being men and saying, I know who I am in God. I take these other people under my wing because they're valuable, created in God's image, and because I love him, I love them. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to impart, that anybody could be a spiritual father if we're submitted to God first and listening to him and then investing in other people. Pastor Jacques, did you get to go spiritual fathers? Sorry.
I want to add one more thing too. Like, there's also like a peers levels, and
Yes.
I think any touch like even you're saying like your colleagues or friends.
Yes.
You can be like some. I believe the Lord speak to somebody.
Iron
gives
sharpens
the authority
iron.
to speak too. Like, and
Yep.
you have to receive. I have stickers on my desk. I share. I was roommate with Pastor Noah. We have done life together. We are often separate, but this time he speaks, I know God is using him and he's mentoring
Come
me,
on.
and we're on the same level. It's like, I need that not just memorized because I know it's going to carry me. I write it down on my stickers and I put on my computer, and that's to me is like, God just used you as a father figure, a spiritual father to
Yes.
me, and I just add a value and some corrections, and just amazing. When I look back those stickers, it's like, wow, thank you, Jesus, for my
Come on.
coworkers, for sure.
We're all sons and daughters
Sons and
of God,
daughters.
so we
Yes.
need spiritual fathers all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, and I have something comes to mind. Some previous pastors who, like I think in high school, would go to like another church on a Saturday night or something to do like a guest meeting, and would invite me to go with them. And I didn't really do anything. We would just talk in the car on the way there and back. And I think I was part of like a visual example or something. So I didn't like do anything at the church. I was just there and got to spend time with that pastor. And then Pastor Dave took me on a similar trip. I don't even remember where we went there and back, but just talking in the car with them. And they had expressed like that they saw something in me and that they were taking me on this trip to like churches or whatever we were doing. But it was
Saw
because
value.
it was like, yeah, they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and they didn't know like what my life would become or where I would be and what I would be doing. But they're like, God has a mark on your life, and I see it and I affirm it, and I'm going to invest in you in some way, in the way that I can. And it was things that I didn't see about myself, or I didn't even believe about myself, and like, I guess like coming into being a pastor recently, I think back about those times, and like those are the kind of things that like were affirming in my whole life, that like this is where God has called me and this is the steps that he has for me.
Yeah.
Just that like I see you and I invest in you and you're valuable, and I'm calling out what God has put inside of you, even if I don't know what that is right now. So those are some things.
Holy Spirit has people on a journey. It's like that verse, Apollos watered, Paul planted the seed, but God makes it grow. I think, too, we were talking the other night just about how, especially men, can be like a drifting boat, especially young men who haven't had a father speak identity into them. It takes a father to unlock that rudder and kind of help them steer their life in their direction. Wild at Heart, it's a book about masculinity. It talks about how men need a beauty to pursue, they need a purpose, and they need an adventure. That's who God made them to be. And so I think whether it's us having fathers in the church or being fathers to people outside of the church and bringing that culture of heaven and bringing that identity into people, I think a lot of the reason that we see kind of a failure to launch or people who are, on a screen a lot, whether it's social media or video games or whatever it might be, is because they don't know how to be who God made them to be in the real world, because nobody has taken them aside like you or like any of you and said to them, like, you're valuable, I see you. Maybe I don't know what you're going to be yet, but because of who you are in Jesus, you have good things. Just seeing identity in people, I think that's such a gift, and that's kind of who we are created to be in the image of God. I think that's all the time we have for today, but this has been incredible. Can we give it up for our panel? Real quick, tell us about the men's event you two are putting on this Saturday, the 28th, at Ben's house. Men are invited. It's from 2 to 8 p.m. Tell us all the manly things.
You have to come and hang out, man. We are shooting guns, or I hope some bombs. And he's a cop, so we'll be fine. We'll get in trouble. But there will be cornholes, and there'll be tons of food, burgers, hot dogs, all kind of things. And there's a powerful guy coming, Richie. He's going to talk to us about good stuff. And you can come anytime, anywhere. Bring your friend. Just hang out. Your kids are older, And he's going to do a training for people who wants like safety stuff for guns. And so if you've never shot a guns, come. It's manly. It's good. Come and shoot some guns.
Yeah. He's like telling me about the stuff they're going to do. I'm like, that sounds great. I don't know man stuff, man. I'm excited for you guys. What else do you want to say about it, Ben? You got anything else?
Have fun. We'll be shooting some guns. There's going to be cornhole. 2 to 8. If you come early, we'll put you to work. If you stay late, then we'll probably put you to work. But we'll have a good time.
Friends.
It's always a good time.
Masculinity.
Yes.
Outdoors.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's just come. We are a community here. We get to know each other. I know it's going to sometimes it could be out of your comfort zone. Just come. I talked to a couple guys. We are open. Just what you see here is what you're gonna get. We'll talk. We'll be open. It's good. It's healthy.
We may cross the creek, so bring some boots or something that you're not afraid to get wet or dirty.
Yeah. Really good. I didn't ask you guys this, but can you pray for people on the prayer team today? Not you, because you're in the drums. You guys? All right, cool. Let's get you off the stage and get you down in the well. Get ready to pray.
Thank you,
Come on.
Pastor.
Thank you, guys. Feel free to take a chair with you as you go. Don't drop the microphone. Maybe put it in your pocket or, like a little cradle. Great. That's what men do. This is how it works. If you don't know Jesus, I just want to talk to you about him for just a second. God is the ultimate father, and he said, I would give up creation just for you. I love you so much. I created you. And he gave Jesus for us so that we could all have this son-daughter relationship with our Heavenly Father. And when you get that peace from him, everything else is changed in such a powerfully good way, because that's who he is. So let's close our eyes, let's bow our heads. If you want to trust in Jesus today, he's the way to God the Father. Then you can just repeat after me. We say, God, I give you my heart. I give you my life. I trust in Jesus. Thank you for his blood that cleanses me. Thank you for your Holy Spirit who's in me. I ask for spiritual fathers to come into my life to show me how to live for you. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Can we just celebrate any decisions that were made today? Come on.